another watch along of one of my favorite TV shows ever, Deadliest Warrior. And this episode we'll be watching for an hour will be Spartan versus the Ninja. Now, a little inside tip before I begin, because I might not remember during the watch along. A lot of people at the time felt, and I personally still feel this way, that this was might seem like a bit one-sided here, because like you do have a heavily armored person versus like a not so armored person. But if you watch along with me, well, to see how it turns out, I'm not going to spoil anything. I want to leave people who haven't watched Deadliest War before to be left surprised. So, and watch along with me and stay until the end of the video, so that way we'll know about the spoilers and then we'll talk about it. So, well, if you got your timestamp to 0, I will be popping this in. Because some of this is going to be on Amazon Prime, and others I already have it downloaded on my Xbox, from years ago. So, it's going to be like a little bit of back and forth here and there. But just a little behind the scenes, just so you know. So, let me adjust my seat. So, there we go. So, if you got your timestamp to 0, and we'll be following along on a little discussing here and there through the video. So let's just begin.
Ninja. Legendary man.
Now I do have like a fondness for the ninja, just about as much as I have a fondness for the samurai, because like I love the Asian culture and like the feudal Japan and everything like that. All that mythology and history always fascinated me. And of course I love Naruto, so like ninjas was like right up my alley, man. I noticed it looked like a Xbox 360 controller that was right on that man's desk. I mean, you blink and you miss it, but those Spartan shields look like about as big as Captain America's shield, or at least maybe slightly bigger than Captain America's shield. And another little FYI, this is technically the very first episode, but this and the Apache versus Gladiator episode, somehow got flip-flop for some reason. Because if you look at this episode, you see like they're still like early stages of setting up while doing this episode, as compared to the Apache versus Gladiator episode, where they look like they, have their like, headquarters set up properly. Don't know if they fully explain why they got it out of order like that. If you got it on like when I got on Amazon, looked on Amazon Prime, this should be number 1 episode. When I play the Deadliest War game on my YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you want to check that out, subscribe to, or just go to my channel, Talkative Carl on YouTube, and like the Spartans are like, they're right, they're straight up tanks. They're like, and like they're dead on good in that game. And it's like, I had to work around trying to get beyond that shield just to do any kind of damage to him.
3 days. 102. With it. Of the team. Ninja. Climb. Different martial. Villages. The ninja strength.
When I was playing the Deadliest Warrior game, they had this little brief info that it's a misconception that ninjas always wore black. They wore the proper gear that wherever surroundings they know they was going to be in, that's what they wore to master the surroundings. Black is not always effective, depending on the terrain. Like if it's like a snowy landscape mountain area, they have to probably wear all white and all green if there's like a heavily forested area, so things like that.
Feet. He's in debt. With the team. Story. Los Angeles.
I always so focus on what this doctor says because like his assessment of the damage of the gel torso or pig tissue is always fascinating. You learn a lot from this. Dr. Dorian's amazing. He's an amazing doctor. I mean, he's an LA doctor. If you ever see him around, like, give him his props, Tell him you love the show, and just like give him like a handshake or whatever, man. It's like, cause he,
One strike. Can't argue with that. Within 6, you have no armor. You're as like, It's just like it's just way too.
Yeah, I mean, like any expert that's on the show always got to, you know, represent their other side as valiantly as possible because they're confident in their respective world warrior they're representing. That they're like in history they're the best of the best for a reason. At least one of the best of the best for a reason.
Here to locker room question.
Hey, Nearsight? Yeah, I think that's Nearsight. That's Nearsighted. Thank you for following.
Each break.
Yeah, and the Spartans have like a very short list of weapons compared to any other warrior party in history because it's very simple. It's like short sword, spear for throwing, or at least mid range, and then javelin for throwing, shield for defense and attack. Just basic. And sometimes that's the way to go. Just some simple, a simple thing to have on hand. But on the other side of things, the ninja have like a plethora of weapons to choose from. Each one is deadly, or almost as deadly.
Has a very heel plate. Ninja had 8 points. Of the ninjas. Something the Spartan never expected. Food out. Every day, videos. Ninja create recipe.
Yeah, I don't know how they exactly. I probably have to look it up, but how they hollow out the egg just to make it an effective crushable, thing.
The use of black egg and rumors that ninja here effectiveness in scientists. Ninjas.
And there's a couple of chunks of that crushed glass right in the sockets.
You can actually
Yeah, I mean, like, you ever get something caught in your eye or whatever like that? It's, annoying as hell to the, either the bare minimum is annoying to a high point of pain. Cause like I don't know, it's like there's been stuff that caught my eye that is like, not as probably painful as glass, but it's still on a level of pain. And it's like it is difficult to try to get something out of your eye. It's like you gotta have water or something like that nearby just to wash out your eyes, just to clear the sucker out.
For a ninja, much precision. Ninjas work on
And that's just another fascinating thing. You get to see like things like their training in their day-to-day lives, and it's vastly different. Because if you ever watch 300, which is not 100% accurate, but it gives you a gist of what growing up as a Spartan life would be, which they highlight here, is like like the baby at birth has to be perfect. Even the females have to be perfect just to eventually birth Spartan men eventually down the line. No soft people at all. While the ninja, no matter what, you can be, if you got to be like, very disciplined in your training. I mean, there's discipline on the Spartans end of things, but I think like, they both hard discipline because, like, I think to the most part, I think Spartans training is probably a little bit more difficult because, like, I mean, back then is devastating, devastatingly hard because you gotta like go out in the wilderness as a kid, and like death is and like, try to hunt a wolf or something like that, or when you're training, when you're a little older and you're training, broken bones or even death is perfectly accepted in the Spartan training. Well, I don't think that is extreme in the ninja training because I don't think they will, I don't know if they'll, I'm not 100% sure because obviously wasn't there, but I don't believe they will allow, in training sessions to people to die, depending on the teacher that you might have at the time. But like he said, it's usually more holistic. So, it's all about making sure you stay true to your training and the discipline. That's the ninja way of training. I mean that, and that's something I never even considered like as a factor when I watched this years ago. That the training method being implemented in real life combat will probably really could make a difference in like a battle. It's like putting their training into fruition. Ninjutsu. When I was using this weapon on the Deadliest Warrior game, that thing saved my butt a million times. I love using that. I love using that weapon.
Being used as a skeleton, used in ballistics to mimic the human flesh. Form a paramedic. Believe. Is
6 inches of penetration.
The equivalent to the ninja. Spartan short sword. Healing power. Honed swords.
A couple times when I used the Spartan short sword in the game, there has been occasions where I managed to hack off a limb with that thing, like he said. But I don't know, depending on the sweet spot and the way you swing it, and, in real life, maybe that's possible. I don't know. Sometimes there's like a lot of rumors behind certain weapons.
There for the damage. More. Heal. Collision with the steel. It's a high tech. Team sets up. Process sub. Types.
I like that draw motion when, like, the ninja or even the samurai, when they draw their sword, it's always cool looking. Just like that smooth draw thing they do. It's like, I love that. I don't know why I love that. I just love the way that looks.
What's proven to clear. Wound is so big we don't even have to worry about. Ninja gives the ninja the
Yeah, the metal early. I'm trying to say metal urgily. The 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 type of metal. Different age when metal evolved over time, like from bronze, iron to steel. It all depends on like the blacksmiths of the time, or what kind of iron ore that you might come across at a certain region through a certain time period. But by the time like Asian culture arised, has always been there, but like you got like just medieval Japan and China rising up by that their day in the sun. the steel edge, the steel properties have evolved to a point where they can have like the most superior weapons of their day. Even to this day, still considered like highly favored and well acknowledged. You can see probably people, well, not do it with real swords, but still practice the same techniques as samurai or ninja, like over in Japan. It's just that it's not like you can't see like people who practice like axe throwing. It's still Viking stuff too, but it's just like just like the Asian cultures are just like held to some kind of higher standard because of probably anime that kept their legends around for so long.
Ninja's most famous distance weapon was the shuriken. The ring of
Shuriken,
steel.
the precursor to the batarangs.
You throw the shuriken. You would get over, leading, hit somebody. Lethal. The top.
Yeah,
This is very sweet.
you at the best. If you're dealing with a Spartan, I imagine the best case scenario in order to get him, you would be very accurate with your weapons to hit like the eyes, maybe, or try to get behind him or avoid his shield or something like that. Because it's like, man, like he is armored up to a serious degree. Probably like probably not as much as like a medieval knight, but darn near. Fun fact that I found out about this episode, at least two fun facts. One, because these guys who usually go to Comic Cons around this time when the show was airing, when it was asking certain questions, one thing they brought up was that, or maybe this part was on the Deadliest Warrior Aftermath, but the expert who was testing out the javelin mentioned that while he was trying to throw the javelin at that torso, the first try it slipped out of his hands. Luckily there was nobody there where he was throwing it, but it's like that's why they got like certain testing areas and like different space between other people and the tester, so just in case nobody gets hurt. But the second thing that I found interesting was in like the during the final season of Deadliest War, when it was at when it was trying to promote the third season at Comic-Con around that time, Dr. Doom was mentioning how like he didn't mention the guy by name, but I surmise that he was talking about the guy who was testing out the ninja stars, that apparently he must have like some kind of ire with the computer results, how like the scalpels, while they would hurt on contact a lot, more than likely they will not kill. Uh, but then he was, the ninja expert, the older gentleman, was I guess he said something to the effect of, "Okay, what if I, throw this in your eye socket or your neck? You think it'll be like deadly then?" And it's like, the doctor was like, first of all, don't throw that in my face, because you'll be like definitely in trouble. And second of all, it's probably not gonna kill me. And it's like, some of these experts probably got a lot heated on set, and there will be another episode that I will point out, the Yakuza versus the Mafia, which will eventually come up down the line, but you'll see like a heated moment there, because like these people really get passionate about the warrior they're representing, almost to the point where they like get into like serious arguments or darn near altercations. That's how like hard they, like they going for those warriors. It's like almost like, I guess like that ninja expert, the older gentleman, well, I guess he was more than likely felt, like a personal attack when the doctor had to comment on about the shurikens, and it's like, dude, relax. You're supposed to be having fun here, and you're, threatening the doctor.
Ninja and boils down to a simple question. Ninja get past this fast at a weak point. Spartan. His head is but the ninja, good weapon, kill.
That's Kurisarigama. Yeah, that weapon's cool as hell looking. Kusarigama. Because I love size, so like the Kusarigama like really got my attention. And it's a funny thing is, a lot of the ninjas' weapons, like Kusarigama or Sai, were originally farming tools, but after a while, they just became known as just weapons in general. I'm pretty sure they probably still being used as like farming tools to this day, but by and large, when you see them, you will instantly think straight up weapon. I mean, anything could be a weapon, but it's like those are legit weapons. And a lot of the ninja's weapons require you to be very disciplined, like martial arts, to be able to use those things in like a effective way, rather than just like just like waving it around recklessly.
Ninja understand the need to
Yeah, he was a bit bullshitting, like to a certain extent, because like, despite how the Kurisaragama traveled when hitting the armor, uh, it still was a armor testing test, and it did not penetrate, and that's what counts in this exact moment. Because like if armor is doing its job, then the opponent has to work harder to get around that, making the armor wearer's job a little bit easier. So
on yet. They counted on those. Brother, we got beyond your spear. Way beyond. Good blow, but even if it does round. Experts convinced. Tested. Until we saw the Gamma. That's numbers don't lie. The shield gives the Spartan the
yeah, that shield, man.
non-stop.
Like I said, it's like still like Captain America's shield, just slightly bigger, and you can't exactly throw it around easily.
Ninja.
Okay, coming to the end. Get your predictions in.
Who is Deadliest? Being tested. Japanese, yeah, sword. Tested the ninja shoot. Gun. Different long distance. Done. Thing. Other hand. Ninja. Team. Ninja's gonna. Close. He tested. Comes to the sword. Comparison. Ninjutsu is longer, it's faster, it's ninja. Ninja. Two choices. Origami. At the end of the day, spot. Downloads the results.
Excuse me while I get some peanuts. Ah, dang, I forgot to get some popcorn before I left work.
Single lucky blood. Packs simulate the battle 1,000 times. The battle of speed against strength. Real versus bronze. Correct.
Here we go. So that's an interesting thing. It's like you're dealing with a very stealthy warrior against a warrior who doesn't use stealth at all. To the point where he's just confused by it. Like, it is like a beast. You do not want to get your bell rung by a shield like that hitting you upside the head.
Ninja was able to 35%. Just wasn't able to win. I'm surprised the one percentage seems to actually boil down to it could hurt the Spartan or the Spartan. And I'm disappointed if Ninja saw right away. That can kill him in his sleep. Ninja has some certainly has some skills and great. Ninja would have been well against.
Okay. That was Spartan versus the Ninja. I'm not shocked. I mean, like, when this first aired, everybody like felt like, well, obviously the Ninja's gonna more than likely lose. I mean, it wasn't exactly a fair matchup to a lot of people. I still don't think it was like a fair matchup. I would have put like a knight versus a Spartan, since they're both heavily armored. to see how that play out rather than like someone who's not as armored or not at all. And it's like, also on top of that, like they mentioned, like most of the ninja's weapons could probably hurt the Spartan but not kill him, except aside from maybe two of his weapons, that the Kusarigama and the Ninjato. But the only weapons that pretty much like got like significant kills on the ninja side, but that shield got so much points. It done so much damage on its own, and not only that, probably blocked a lot of the damage by a considerable margin in the the systems they were using. And it's like, it sucks, but you can't argue with that because like a Spartan, like the way he's defended, like all that armor, that big ass Captain America shield they're using, it's redonkulous. And it's like, can't argue with the results, but like it's not like nobody predicted the outcome. But anyway, that was Spartan versus the Ninja. In a few minutes I'll be loading up the next episode, Pirate versus the Knight, and we'll end the tonight's stream with that while I get other things prepared so that tomorrow I have more walkthroughs to do. Then later on in the week I will begin my next live discussion talking about the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the first season of Jackie Chan Adventures. So stay tuned for that. So I will see you all in a little bit. Take care.